Hello, fellow Sublime fanatics. Odat Nerd here. Welcome to the devlog for December 2nd. We're trying something a little different here. We're going to be recording devlogs right here on the machine where I do live streams. Where yesterday, Devember 1st, kicked off with a 3-hour live stream right on this very YouTube channel. So we're going to quickly discuss what we did today, not inside of a live stream. Let's open up Sublime Merge. We can actually see this is the last commit that was made yesterday. Now, just as a reminder for people, this is, of course, Devember. These devlogs are going to be short, sweet. They have no editing. Tuesdays and Thursdays, live streams here on this channel, guaranteed for the rest of November, as long as my health holds out, such as it is, and I'm not foreseeing any issues. So good to go on that front. Potentially other live streams might slot in here and there near the end of the month where I have free time. On days we don't do live streams, I'm still coding, and you get one of these. There wasn't a devlog for yesterday because, hey, if you want to see what happened yesterday, watch the live stream or hop into a live stream live and watch it happen and answer questions. So I'm going to go ahead and move my control iPad out of the way for just a moment here and say this is the last thing that happened yesterday. I committed all of the code after the live stream, pushed it up to GitHub. As we can see now at the top of the page there, I have 5 changes that I have not pushed up yet, but will happen after I finish recording this before I start to upload it. Now, we're not going to talk about the package or what's actually the project is because, hey, that's the job of yesterday's thing. So the first thing that I did today was this. I updated the README just slightly because although I think the README for the super dependency that is needed for the package that we're working on says that it's a Sublime Text 3 dependency and runs in the legacy plugin host. That might make you think that this is intended to run in Sublime Text 3, this YouTube editor package or YouTuberizer as we're calling it here. Not in fact the case because we're actually using some API elements that have been added in the Sublime Text 4 builds. Now specifically right now, as of commits that I'm about to push up, that's just one thing, but we're going to be doing some more stuff that adds even more for enhanced quick panel items. So I updated this to be able to point that thing out. Next thing, yesterday we implemented a command for getting a video link, and this is one of the last things we did in the stream. You can right click in any of the parts of a window in a YouTube window to be able to copy a video link or a video link with timecode or open a video in a browser or open it at a timecode. And we had an is enabled method, which as we can see here, made sure that this command was only enabled in a YouTube window, but it needs to make sure that it only enables itself in a YouTube window rather that has a video ID associated with it. And that's because we can open a new empty YouTube window for the purposes of if we were going to be preparing a new video for upload or something along those lines. In that case, there's not a video ID associated with a window yet. There is if you use details. So we have to make sure that we get this. Now, this manifests itself by generating YouTube links that have none in the name because that's the value of the setting. That was a little bit unfortunate, but we went ahead and fixed that one up as soon as I noticed it. Next, we added a new setting to this thing. Now, this is sort of a overall arching thing. One of the things I like to do in my packages is have a single method that is capable of accessing settings. It's named YTE setting. In this particular case, all you have to do is provide it an actual thing. Now, if I was to actually go ahead and blow up this so we can see this whole file, we can see there's a couple of parts to this. One is that when the plugin is loaded, we load the settings, store it into a field in the function field here, and then grab some default values for variables. And then all of this function has to do is ask, get the default out and ask its cached setting object. So everywhere you want to use a setting, as you can see, I fixed a comment there as well, you just have to say YTE setting and the name of a setting. This makes sure that all settings have some sort of sanity value that is correct. And of course, the value actually comes out of the settings. So that is what is going on with that. And we added a new setting for something that we're going to do, auto show panel. If you watch the live stream where we worked on Sublime, this is kind of based based on that, but a little bit different. And so there is a new setting added in here, and there were a few places sprinkled throughout the package that were doing this the quote unquote old way by specifically loading these settings and then getting the settings values out. Now you can see we're just using the one thing here to make sure that that all works. And the same thing was happening here as well. That's because these things existed before that YTE setting actually existed. So we set ourselves up with a brand new setting, auto show panel. And the next thing we did was implement an output log panel. And essentially, what this is right down in the window in the status panel there's a new item that is labeled YouTube editor, output YouTube editor. All the log system that we have implemented here can send output to that panel and also to the console if it wants, also to an error dialog if it wants. By default, information goes to the panel. That makes sure that the console as a whole is kept clear and everything that has to do with YouTube editor and all of the requests that it's making end up being right inside of the its own panel, which makes things a little bit nicer. Now, a part of the implementation of this operation is that the panel will, based on that setting, automatically go ahead and open itself. So we can see here I have the display output panel like yeah. So there's a setting that says, do you want to show the panel automatically if the log thinks that it should be done. This is something that you pass to the log function. And the value here can be yes, I always want to do that. No, I never want to do it. Or a number, which is yes, do it if something asks, but automatically close the panel. And we have this close panel after delay that has some debounce action in it so that if another log appears that wants to open the panel while it's open, the timeout gets extended out. And the other thing that is happening in here, and this is the reason why we needed to make sure in the README that we have a new version of the API for this thing, is that when we set up an output panel, we create a panel in the window that we're given, and then if we were given a source window, we go ahead and copy the value. Now, what this code actually is, you can look at it in the repository if you want to see more. Normally, when you create an output panel, it's specific to the window in which you created, but we might have multiple windows open and we want to see the logs for YouTube Editor in all windows and not necessarily just in the one where it happened to be open at the time when we took an action. So when the plugin loads, it adds an output panel to every window that exists. There's an event listener, which when a new window is created, which is another thing that we need the new API for. I may have said that already, I'm not sure. We also add an output panel to that one right away, and it's called with this. So after the output panel is set up, it will actually grab the content of one of the existing windows and cram it in here to that make sure that the new window when it's created automatically has an appropriate output panel, and the log sends an output to every window and not just into one particular window. So now we have the ability to do some logging. And lastly, we actually start implementing some proper logging in this thing. So we can get messages for requests being made and what those requests might actually be. So now we can say we're fetching channel details and we actually get to see what the name of the channel actually is. And if we're fetching a playlist, how many items had the playlist was in the playlist and things like that. So we're really stepping ourselves up in functionality here. And that is the last of the changes that happened today. We're going to be jumping into a live stream tomorrow right here on the channel, 8 p.m. PST. Yesterday's live stream, was it yesterday? Yesterday's live stream went 3 hours. We might do that again if there's good turnout and fun stuff to do. Live streaming is great fun when there's a lot of talk in the chat and discussing problems and solving them and stuff like that. We're going to be working on some of the refactoring that we talked about yesterday. That's the plan. And also possibly some way to wrap the data that's coming back into a named tuple to make its access a little bit easier. We'll weigh the pros and cons of that particular action. But that is all we have for this particular video here. So we're going to go ahead and cut her off right here. This channel doesn't have the end thirds, but of course, if you want to join the live stream or see other Devember updates, you're going to want to use the buttons down below to thumb subscribe and share and ring the bell notification icon. You'll definitely know when I'm going live. So that's all we got for tonight. Until tomorrow's live stream, this is ODAT Nerd asking you to please have a sublime day.